The Pacific is in the midst of a war on drugs. Ruthless transnational crime networks are shipping tons of cocaine and meth by any means they can.
It's crazy to think the lengths that these cartels are going to get their drugs across the ocean for the Australian market.
Across the South Pacific, the number of seizures and size of consignments have been skyrocketing. Authorities have discovered 16 tonnes of cocaine with a street value in the billions in the region in the last 3 months alone.
We believe there are tons of illicit commodities that have been stockpiled in the Pacific over many years.
Over 2 episodes, I'm teaming up with ABC reporters in Fiji, Tonga and Solomon Islands to expose the criminal underworld in our neighbourhood. In this Foreign Correspondent investigation, through key insiders, we lift the lid on how the most audacious meth smuggling plot in Fiji's history came undone.
What comes into my mind, it's drugs.
And how did you feel when you...
Scared. I was frightened.
In this major investigation, we take you across the Pacific to see how Australia's enormous appetite for methamphetamine and cocaine is fueling a crisis here, turning these idyllic islands into pit stops on a drug smuggling superhighway. From Latin America via the Pacific to the streets of Australian cities, we reveal who's involved, how they're doing it, and how the Pacific is paying an enormous price for Australia's illicit drug problem.
We're off the coast of Fiji, in the vast waters of the South Pacific. The crew on this Fiji Navy ship are keeping watch over their part of the largest ocean on the planet.
Captain, sir, you are starboard of deck.
Fiji is regarded as a large ocean state. We have over 300 islands that spread in a wide area.
The head of the Navy, Timothy Natuva, is now a crucial part of Fiji's war on drugs, because these vast waters are compromised.
There's a lot of indication that drugs is coming through the maritime domain, coming into Fiji. We had cocaine, we had meth.
Australia's supplied the Navy with this patrol boat and its high-speed inflatable. They can now intercept drug smuggling vessels. But first, they have to find them. In 1.3 million square kilometres of ocean.
We have very limited resources at our disposal to detect everything. But we have, like, for example, 2 patrol boats to look after these vast oceans. So it's like 2 patrol cars that have to look after the whole of South Australia.
How do your resources compare to those of the criminal syndicates that are shipping drugs through Fiji?
Nothing compared to what they have. They have far more resources. They are more funded than probably all of the countries in the Pacific. So they will always be 3 or 4 or 5 steps ahead of us.
This is the front line in Fiji's war on drugs, and it's so clear that without good intelligence, knowledge of suspicious boats coming into Fiji waters, trying to find traffickers at sea would be like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Back on land, Fijian authorities are trying to fill that gap. In this highly secure, brand new Australian-funded facility in the capital, Suva, Fiji's security agencies and foreign partners share intelligence. We're the first TV crew to get a look inside.
What are we looking at here? How much?
From here, Commodore Natuva and director Lemeki Lanoa have a bird's eye view of what's happening at sea.
So what we're looking at here is pretty much the Southwest Pacific. The middle screen here is essentially a screen that's tracking vessels within our waters.
One of the feeds is from a New Zealand surveillance plane.
We can see quite a lot of detail. From a couple of miles out, we can make out markings and names on the vessel.
For us to catch, to interdict a certain vessel, we need that information from police or from customs, Fiji, and then from regional organizations. To catch them by yourself, just on a patrol boat, you have to be lucky to do that.
Smugglers travel thousands of kilometres to get here.
It comes from Central South America. They come through the waters based on Tahiti, come through Tonga, Fiji.
The drug's final destination is Australia and New Zealand.
Fiji's become a hub where they transit drugs from. They've used the Fiji as to store the drugs before they move to other areas. We're stuck in the middle. We have sort of like become ground zero.
10 years ago, drugs moved through Fiji by the kilogram. Now they come by the tonne.
The biggest drug trial in Fiji's history has got underway.
The trial revealed the scale and sophistication of drug cartels operating in the Pacific.
We think that it's only going to get worse, or we're going to get more of these cases coming through.
More Fijians are getting roped into drug crime, and those allegedly involved becoming more brazen.
Fiji police, you want me to come and take my own cocaine, 2.6 tons. You release it. Release it now, or I'm gonna bring my fucking gun, and I'm gonna fucking shoot every motherfucker from here to Mba police post.
Earlier this year, Fiji police arrested 16 people, including 4 Ecuadorians, over the alleged importation of 2.6 tonnes of cocaine, some disguised as chocolate bars destined for Australia. In Australia and New Zealand,
Consumers pay some of the highest prices in the world for methamphetamine and cocaine. How do the drugs get from Fiji to Australia? By yacht, by container, and by air.
my Fijian colleague, ABC reporter Lice Movono, has covered the rise of drug crime here for years.
How often do you find yourself covering drug trafficking, drug dealing stories here in Fiji?
Over the last couple of years, I would say it's become the #1 issue. There was a time when I wrote more about politics, but now it's drugs. I think it is on the front cover of our newspapers every other day.
There's one case that dwarfs them all.
The Langa drugs case is definitely the biggest case in Fijian history, but also in the Pacific. It's the biggest in terms of the volume of drugs, but also it was the biggest in terms of the number of accused persons, the number of witnesses, and the number of people who eventually convicted of charges relating to the importation and distribution.
Lice and I have spent months digging into this case to understand how the drug trade has infiltrated Fiji and uncover the connections between criminals here and in Australia. We're driving west to Nadi, the heart of Fiji's tourism industry and its gateway to the world.
So this is where the story starts?
This is it. Probably the biggest yacht shipyard of its kind in the Pacific. Yacht Central.
They are some impressive boats.
Our investigation begins here at Vunda Marina. In late 2023, a Fijian man came to barge owner David Wright looking to charter a boat.
He said, I have to take some food, fuel, and we're going to collect the rubbish off a super yacht. And I said, oh, great.
The man paid up front in cash.
No, this will be.
This never-before-broadcast CCTV footage shows David Wright seeing his barge off at the marina.
So what are you bringing back?
The man who chartered the barge explains the rubbish they're bringing back in the morning is a water slide.
At 5 in the morning, I rang my skipper and said, have you done the job? He said, yes, we're on our way back.
David Wright met the barge back at the marina, but there was no water slide.
This gentleman said, look, I felt embarrassed. We went to the wrong venue. I said, OK. So that was that. He then mentioned to me, do you mind if I charter the barge today? And I said, yeah, no problems.
The skipper of David's barge goes by the name Tui.
When I heard of super yacht, I thought, oh, that's good. Good money on the super yacht. That's what I was so desperate to doing all this job.
They couldn't find the yacht on the second trip either, so the Fijian man chartered the barge for a third time. But instead of going himself, he sent a Russian man in his place.
The Russian guy is on the boat, and he said, where are we going? He gave me the location, he gave me another coordinates, and I plotted on my GPS.
This CCTV catches a glimpse of them in the top right corner, motoring out of the marina with the Russian on board. This time, they found the boat they were looking for, but it wasn't a luxury super yacht.
The boat, it was like between 20 or less than 20 meters, the size of the boat. And the hull, lots and lots of barnacles on the hull. That shows that for us sailors, boats with those barnacles, it spends lots of time in the ocean. There were 3 people on the big boat. 2 of them are European.
European?
Yeah, but one, he looks like a Mexican. Once we tie up alongside, the Russian guy jumped onto the big boat. Not long after that, the stuff started coming in. When I saw the first box that landed on the floor, I know this is different. This is not the stuff that we were supposed to do. It was all packed in boxes, like boxes, and they were stacked like 4 in 1 stack, and they were all taped together. What comes into my mind, it's drugs.
And how did you feel when you...
Scared. I was frightened. I was scared. The first thing that comes into my mind when I was alongside, the first box that landed, I want to let go of my rope and run away. But second thing comes into my mind was guns on the boat. They can kill me there. They keep on loading. The boat was like going down, what's leaking on the boat.
Too heavy.
Too heavy. I stopped them. I said, stop, boat full. That was it. And what they said from the boat, what they told me, amigo, small. That's what they told me. And I understand what they were trying to tell me, only a few left on the boat to be loaded.
Tui's barge was now carrying more than 4 tons of methamphetamine. Fearing it might sink, he slowly made his way back to land. The Fijian man who hired the barge was waiting with a truck and crane at a secluded jetty.
When we were unloading stuff on the mainland, and he was looking at me, and when he looked at me, he said, bro, don't worry, don't be scared. I had a communication with the police, with the Navy, and the soldier as well. That's what he told me. And said, don't be scared, relax.
Tui had good reason to be afraid. He'd been unwittingly roped into a $1 billion drug consignment that we've confirmed came from the ruthless Sinaloa cartel in Mexico.
I told my crew, when this stuff got caught, it will come to us.
The drugs were brought here to Fiji's premier resort island of Denarau.
This is the gateway to Fiji's major tourism area, Denarau. So you have all of the major hotels here, but also all of the really expensive homes.
The drugs were stored in a warehouse effectively owned by an Australian businessman. This would become a critical piece of intelligence for investigators.
There's cameras everywhere.
Days later, the drugs were moved again by truck in broad daylight. 2 weeks after that, almost by accident, police found some of the meth more than 200 kilometres away near Suva in the car of a local drug runner.
Police saw a suspicious vehicle. They checked on the vehicle and found methamphetamines, and the person that had it was known to the police, and he just basically told them, I know where a large stash of drugs is, and brought them all the way to Nandi. So
those police raided the stash house themselves, deliberately excluding the local police and the Counter-Narcotics Bureau.
They just didn't trust them. At the time, there had already been drug-related cases where extraordinary things happened, like evidence going missing, drugs going missing from the police station, where cases don't make it to trial.
What the police found during the raid was mind-blowing.
Police discovered 3 tons of drugs in a vacant house in Lenga, Nandi last Sunday, while another 1.1 tons of white substances and crystal powder was seized from a house in Mangalewu.
Between the two houses, they found more than 1,000 containers packed with meth. Barge owner David Wright saw the news and immediately thought of the suspicious job he'd accepted weeks earlier.
I just had this funny feeling we might have done something wrong, illegal. And I went to my skipper and I said, Tui, did we bring any drugs in or do something wrong?
He said, Tui, talk to me straight. Was it drugs? And I said, boss, yes, it was drugs.
I said, how much? And he went 4 or 5 tonne. So I'm just sick. I just immediately felt sick. My crew were scared. One of them couldn't eat. He was shaking. He was really, really distraught. And I'm a part of it. My barge was a part of the biggest drug haul in the South Pacific. I sort of asked Tui more questions. He filled me in on some details. There was 2 or 3 inches of growth on the yacht, which meaning it obviously hadn't been slipped for a year or so. So I'd imagine that that boat has just been at sea for 1 or 2 years, just trafficking drugs across the Pacific, I suppose. So I hopped in my car, drove straight to the Latoka police station. The next day I drove to Suva and saw the Australian Federal Police. I was really concerned of the situation I was going to be in and my crew. And the Federal Police gave me some support, but said it's really up to the Fijian police. We can't really help you unless you get arrested.
9 locals were charged, the largest number ever for a single drug case at the time. Witness statements reveal more than 20 Fijians were involved in the importation, some knowingly, others completely unwittingly. David Wright and his crew were lucky.
I feel if I hadn't have gone to the police the minute I found out about it, they could have been implicated quite strongly, as working for the gentleman that chartered the barge.
That's the question that I asked the police. So I'm also involved in this, and they said they just used you. That's what the police told me. No, they just used you to get what they want.
What was it like covering the trial?
The one thing I realized from this case is that a lot of people don't know what they're getting into before it's too late. They don't know about the volume of the drugs, at least they didn't. They don't know about how heavy the penalties can be.
Public scrutiny of the case was enormous, as was the pressure on prosecutor John Rambuku to secure convictions.
They thought that they would get away with it. As a matter of fact, throughout the whole proceedings, they kept on thinking that they would get away with it, because I think they were told all the time that they would get away with it. You had these small drug dealers who had already been dealing in drugs locally. And then you had the ones who were just really opportunists, who had been asked, please come and help offload it, or please come and help pack the drugs.
Then you had the key Fijian players. The man who chartered the barge was local marine repair shop owner David Heritage. He was charged with importation and possession. The local ringleader was well-connected entrepreneur Justin Ho. Ho had been known to police since 2018 for allegedly attempting to export cocaine to Australia via Fiji's national airline.
The previous case against Justin Ho to do with Fiji Airways was that he solicited the help of a flight attendant who was then going to carry the drugs across to Australia. On this particular occasion, he was caught, the flight attendant was caught with the drugs, and the flight attendant had named him. So he was investigated for that. And then some other drugs went missing from the police station, and the office of the DPP withdrew. When I came into the office to be the acting DPP, I ordered that he be recharged.
Both in that case and this 4-ton meth bust, the drugs had been repackaged and disguised as one of Fiji's top agricultural exports, kava. When they found the meth, police also discovered scales, a bag sealer, kava packets and labels.
I argued throughout the case that the drug was not meant, that Fiji was not its destination, that the demand for a large amount of methamphetamines like that was really for Australia and New Zealand.
Police know some of the meth was removed from the stash houses before the bust. Assistant Police Commissioner Misaki Wanga believes some of the drugs did make it to their intended destination.
Do you know if any of the drugs did actually make it to Australia?
I believe so.
Do you know how much?
I don't know how much. One of the investigations that we have revealed so far that they have repacked it and sent it across through the use of some of our airline workers. I will not name the airline. Some of our airline workers have been used for trafficking those drugs across to Australia.
In July, the 9 accused Fijians were convicted and received the heaviest sentences ever for drug crime.
It is being described as the defining moment in the Pacific's fight against transnational organised crime. Justin Ho was sentenced to life imprisonment. His co-conspirators received terms of 50 and 55 years, while others down the chain, including 2 mid-level organisers and 4 minor players, were given sentences ranging from 14 to 25 years.
It would be the most severe sentence on drug offending in Fiji. The drug trade involves a lot of money. And of course, we're all vulnerable in some way, and at some stage, someone can get bought.
7 are appealing their convictions. The trial was a success for prosecutors, but for some, including John Rambuku, it raised serious questions of integrity about Fijian law enforcement.
It still baffles me till today how easily they were able to bring the 4.1 tons in. Matter of fact, it looked really shoddy, to the point that, you know, I'm beginning to think that they were doing it with so much ease because they had been doing it before. And the enforcement arm of the state just turned a blind eye to it or was actually involved in it.
No police were charged for facilitating the importation, but one was caught doing something astonishingly brazen.
As the drugs arrived at the Namaka police station, they're offloading it and a container falls, breaks, and methamphetamine is just splattered all over the floor. One police officer walks in and scoops a whole load of meth and puts it in his pocket and walks out.
In the last 3 years, 27 Fijian police officers have been charged with drug-related offences, including 2 from the Counter-Narcotics Bureau. In September, as part of a radical shake-up, every officer in the Bureau was removed from their post.
Does the Fiji police force, when it comes to drugs, have a problem with corruption?
Corruption is something that challenges us for quite some time. The Fiji police force is not a corrupted institution. We have officers who have crossed the line, and we have been transparent with it. On every cases that are reported to us, we will investigate it and we will hold those accountable. The officers that have been charged, they're mostly crime intelligence officers and those officers that involved with the drug dealers. When it comes to integrity, some officers forgot that they are police officers and they are being involved in that.
There's one more startling element to this case. There's a man who never appeared in court, but the judge named him as a drug kingpin and the orchestrator of the entire plot. An Australian named Sam Amin.
So what was your reaction when Sam Amin was named by this judge in court?
So I remember sitting there trying to pick my jaw off from the floor and wondering, why is a man this significant that can be named in this way not here?
Amin is a 49-year-old Australian businessman with a checkered past.
This is the moment Sam Amini was taken from his waterfront property.
In 2021, he was abducted from his Sydney home, beaten and held for ransom. Law enforcement sources have told us it was over a drug debt.
I got punched in the head about 50,000 times.
Amini explains what happened to police.
They kept hitting me in the head with a machete in the back of the gun.
And what it was over.
They just kept saying they wanted money, they wanted money. They wanted $3 million.
In a separate matter, New South Wales Police later told a court Amin has links to organised crime, including the KVT. They're a gang of mostly Fijian Australians who've been implicated in Sydney's drug supply chain for years. Amin has been coming to Fiji for more than a decade.
And there's evidence that as early as 2019, he was associating with people here in Fiji who were connected to the drug trade.
Interesting.
Lice and I are headed back to Denarau Island, where Sam Amin has businesses and property, including, crucially, the warehouse where the 4 tonnes of meth was stored for several days.
So this is Industrial Road, where Sam Amin had his businesses. So maybe it was one of these that was Sam Amin's warehouse.
I think it's the other side of the bus depot. That is the warehouse.
That is Sam Amin's warehouse where they store the drugs.
The warehouse was being rented by the Fijian ringleader of the operation, Amin's associate, Justin Ho.
Sam Amin was involved because the drugs was stored in his facility. Because I would think that with such a large amount of methamphetamines, Sam Amin would have had to have a say in the drugs being moved to his warehouse.
In his testimony to court, the man who hired the barge, David Heritage, said he, Justin Ho, and Sam Amin were in contact on an encrypted app called Threema.
David Heritage was saying Sam Amin had asked me to bring the drugs in and paid me $30,000, which came through Justin Ho for me to arrange all the logistics of the drugs being brought into the country. But we were unable to extract anything, from their phones that indicated that Sam Amin really had given him the $30,000.
We can confirm Amin left Fiji before police seized the drugs.
Sam Amin will always be the person of interest when it comes to drugs in Fiji. This is because of his involvement with KVT and of his assets here and his association with the local crime syndicates here in Fiji. Sometimes we are trying to identify who is funding these officers, who is funding the local crime syndicates here in Fiji. And there is suspicious that Sam Amin is funding them.
So you suspect that Sam Amin may be actually directly funding some of the local crime syndicates in Fiji?
Yeah.
On an ongoing basis?
Yes.
Law enforcement sources in Australia have described Amin to us as a major regional target and a door for drug movement between Fiji and Australia. In early 2024, police raided his Bayside home in Sydney, not over the Fiji meth importation, but for supplying a large commercial quantity of drugs and a gun to an undercover cop using the same encrypted app, Threema. He's pleaded guilty and is awaiting sentencing. He's declined to comment on his alleged involvement in the Fiji importation and in organised crime.
Has Sam Amin not been charged here in Fiji over that importation?
Investigations are still underway. We have initiated, I have directed for the investigations to be done together with the law enforcement partners from Australia. Indications that are also coming from the AFP. They also wanted to charge him for attempt to import to Australia, and we are working together with them in this regard.
Do you anticipate that Sam Amin could face charges at some point here in Fiji or in Australia over this importation?
That's our anticipation, yes. We will only rest once we charge those responsible, those international crime syndicates. It's all my wish, together with the blessing of the Commissioner of Police, that Sam Amin to face trial here in Fiji.
As Fiji police crack down on the drug trade, they're discovering more links to Australians and to the infamous KVT gang. They've told us they strongly suspect the 2.6 tonnes of cocaine seized in January is linked to the KVT.
Are you concerned that there is a transnational crime syndicate now operating between Fiji and Australia?
Oh yes, we are concerned. We are concerned about it. We are concerned also if they started getting connections with the local crime syndicates here. And we are trying our best to work with the Australian Federal Police to cut these connections. And whenever they enter our jurisdictions, we will always ensure that we have eyes on them.
Tragically, not all the drugs that come through Fiji are destined for other countries. The streets of the capital, Suva, are now awash with meth, a market fuelled by smugglers paying local operatives not with cash, but with drugs. It's 7 p.m. downtown, and these beat cops are starting the night shift with a hymn.
Five years to 6 years back, the impact of drugs in
it's really increased.
Which drugs?
Very fast. I'm talking about the green and mostly the white, the meth.
Sergeant Matayasi Rokumbiti and Corporal Enoki Vuki say they arrest 5 or 6 people a week for drug possession.
Anda. Saya punya tabung korto na kadur cuma. Duri. Cuma bi. For some of them, they used to sleep. They used to say when they are low battery. When low battery. When they are not full charge for drugs, they can sleep for 1-2 days. Kami kukulit sana. Kutuan ko kukulit lang. Sana ko. Kami sana ko tuloy bitan ng dikit. Sabi ko ni medyo kita muntan mo ay ako kukul.
Pero bukan itu undang.
Isa na singal kunin mo da kita umita kami nito tabi will check you.
Kasih
According to authorities, most meth-related arrests in Fiji are men under 35, with some as young as 14. They say at least 9 young men died from meth overdoses last year.
This is one a very common place for them. They used to come and drink and use drugs. Even they used to go and sleep underneath the bridge. Kaya they tumba.
One of them is 18-year-old Sam.
I was going sleeping down there. Kailangan tumoti ke stop jalan dan rebal. Kegerum tu sana pula. Kami pun nami pun itu sampai tiga negeri tahun. Walalangan. Kasi kira nanti matu balik lo kegerum. Kami kemem tu kita tunggu.
Sam, do you see many people down here using drugs, using white drugs?
I see using drugs.
Iliw nga, gosa siya. Set up.
There are very few people here who are comfortable talking on camera about using drugs. One is Elaine Munro. In Fiji, most meth users don't smoke it, they inject it.
Hi, everybody. How are you guys?
Good. How did you go?
Yeah, okay.
Good.
I just picked up syringes because these are the ones I normally like to use, the sizes that I use.
Can you show us?
Yeah. It doesn't leave any scar tissue, so it's like an ant bite. It's harmless, like you can't even painless.
She says meth use among younger Fijians has skyrocketed, and she is worried.
To be honest, meth use has increased a lot. On a scale of 1 to 10, 8. This is the trending drug for this generation, and it's so painful, like, to speak about it and talk about it.
Her fears are justified. The rise in drug use has coincided with a crackdown on selling needles. Pharmacies who provide them fear they could be charged with aiding and abetting drug use.
Stop here. Just turn off your headlights, please. That will come down.
Elaine's begging the government to make clean needles accessible.
Don't look back.
But for now, she's taken it upon herself to give them out to her peers.
I just made it my thing to just keep on coming out every night, and just became something I was passionate about, to make sure that my sister girls on the streets were protected. Hey, the smaller ones, kanika.
The grim alternative is needle sharing.
Let's make a scene, like, you have your needle, I don't have a needle. We bought the drugs together, and we have to share. So one will take it, so you'll shoot. After that, we'll go back to the bottle of water, rinse the needle, but there's no sanitation whatsoever done, you know? And then I will use. So it's that's how it's done, yeah.
It's Sunday afternoon in Suva. Dr. Jason Mitchell, the head of Fiji's HIV/AIDS task force, has spent the morning in church.
So I've returned to Fiji after being away for a number of years.
And what he's walked back into is a public health nightmare.
At first, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I thought there was something wrong with the numbers. In the last 5 years or so, there's been a 13-fold increase in the number of cases of HIV being diagnosed in the country. And UNAIDS now recognizes Fiji as having the world's fastest growing HIV epidemic. The new risk factor in the population is intravenous drug use. And so a lot of our cases now are young people who are coming in sick with HIV.
How old? When you say young, how old's the youngest person?
Our youngest is 10.
There's another tragedy here too. He says the number of babies being born with HIV to mothers who contracted it from drug use or by having sex with drug users is rising too.
We see lots of deaths in pediatrics as well. It's becoming quite common here.
So what you're saying is babies are dying. Young kids have died in Fiji because they've contracted HIV through their mothers who either contracted it as drug users or from another drug user.
This is the sort of thing you would have seen early in the epidemic of HIV in the late 80s and early 90s. It's not something we should be seeing now.
Records show HIV killed 126 Fijians in 2024. And Dr. Mitchell thinks that is a gross underestimate.
Do you think it's going to get worse before it gets better?
For sure. I mean, in the last year alone, the infections have just doubled. So it will get worse.
No one here is in any doubt. Fiji is in crisis. The government calls the drug problem a national emergency. It says it will not tolerate criminal networks that profit from destroying lives. One minister has warned Fiji is at risk of becoming a nation of zombies.
Looking at the people that they are taking it, we feel sorry for them, really feel sorry for them. So that's why we are really fighting for this.
Are you worried about Fiji and where it's headed?
Very much, yeah. Because looking to 10 years' time, how Fiji will look like.
Next time, inside the Pacific's narco superhighway.
Oh, wow.
This is a narco sub designed to carry tons of drugs.
It says made in Colombia. Are you worried that Solomon Islands is at risk of becoming a drug smuggler's paradise?
Yes. Police are facing off against criminal syndicates.
Money, cash, drugs, there's a growing gang influence.
We take you inside a prison with drug criminals.
This is where you're going to end up.
That's next time on Foreign Correspondent.